So Donald Trump attacked Jeb Bush for saying that his brother kept us safe. Only the most reasonable attack Donald Trump has ever done, because it's just a fact. And amazingly, the Republican establishment is now coming to the defense of Jeb Bush and attacking Donald Trump.
Well, I think it was a dismal weekend when you have liberal conspiracy theories being introduced by the Republican frontrunner. Okay, it is soft trutherism. And
soft trutherism.
It is what it is. It's like it's soft racism. It's soft bigotry. You put it out there for a reason because I guess you want to be provocative, even if none of the facts add up, as Geraldo pointed out on the immigration point.
What Donald Trump said is totally misleading and untrue, and what your previous guest said is entirely untrue. Those briefings that President Bush got as late as August 6th from Mike Morrell, who ended up being the acting director of the CIA, said specifically that there was no evidence at all of any attack coming against the United States. The attacks they were concerned about were in Europe. George Tenet in his memoirs said they had absolutely no evidence at all that there was going to be an attack in the United States. And it was Michael Moore and others who started that talk. And for Donald Trump...
Michael Moore, you said.
Michael Moore.
The Michael Moore.
The Michael Moore, who Donald Trump now is sounding like a left-wing Michael Moore wacko. I mean, this is just wrong, what he's saying.
No, this story here really puts in perspective how fucking crazy the right wing in America is. Guys, this may be one of 3 or 4 attacks that Donald Trump has waged throughout this entire campaign that are just factually correct. You can't argue against it. It's a stone cold fact. And on this one, this is where right wing media leaves them. All the other attacks that are untrue and bigoted and xenophobic and fucking crazy, they're right there defending him. When he said when he launched his campaign that, well, you know, Mexicans coming in the country, they're criminals, they're rapists, I assume some of them are good people. When he said that, right-wing media was right there to defend him. They're criminals, they're rapists, I assume some of them are good people. So the majority are criminals and rapists, people who come from Mexico into the U.S. That's not true. Right-wing media was right there. Ah, Donald telling it like it is. I mean, the list goes on and on. When he fucking stood there in their first Republican debate and said that vaccines cause autism, the right wing was like, aha, yes, Donald Trump, anti-medicine, and we love him for that, anti-science. So many false attacks, they're right there defending him. He dares to say this time, Jeb, it's not true that your brother protected us. 9/11 happened on his watch. He doesn't get a mulligan for that. And the right-wing media is like, how dare you? We're abandoning you now. We're going to defend Jeb because now Jeb is on the side of outright lies and falsehoods. This is ridiculous, man. Like, when I was watching the clips earlier, and there's more of these where the right defends the right defends Jeb Bush over Donald Trump on this, I got legitimately sad. I got sad because I thought, God, we've so lost our way in politics where, especially on the right, truth does not come into the equation when figuring out what your position is going to be, what stance you're going to take, and what argument you're going to make. It doesn't even factor in. Everything is just based off of, oh, my feelings. Oh, I don't like it that you attacked George Bush, even though it's true, and Jeb's defending him, and that makes him a good brother, so I'm going to defend Jeb, even though his position is wrong in every sense of the word. And what's so ironic is that these guys always accuse the left of, caring about feelings over facts. You don't care about harsh truths. We're here to tell the harsh truths. Really? George Bush didn't protect us. 9/11 happened on his watch. How dare you, liberal conspiracy theorist? Michael Moore, wacko. The bubble that they're in is so thick. This guy's like Michael Moore, giving us facts and stuff. Oh, you're preaching to the fucking ridiculous choir when you say shit like that. There's nowhere near true. If you fact check Michael Moore's claims and compare them to the claims of anybody on Fox News, Michael Moore is right in overwhelmingly higher percentage of the time. But these guys, they don't care. They don't know. They don't care. And it's all about feelings. Oh, he said something that breached decorum. That's what it's really about. You breached decorum when you attacked George W. Bush and Jeb Bush for something like 9/11. Yes, he did a terrible job, but you must be nice to him because he's one of us. Oh, don't be ridiculous. And remember, guys, everything Peter King said there is also not true. George Bush had a memo on his desk that said, Bin Laden determined to attack in United States. That's a fact. And he's like, well, I don't think that there's not a fair attack because when the memo came, the memo did not say it was going to happen within the U.S. There was no evidence of that. Blah, 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 blah. Shut the fuck up. That's not true. We know that's not true. We know that the intelligence agencies were saying the opposite, that bin Laden is determined to attack within the U.S. The fucking headline of the memo said that. It wasn't even like the headline was more benign and then later in the writing it said that. The fucking headline was that. It's so fucking embarrassing, man. I don't know how you can call yourself a right-winger in this, under these conditions in America today. Either you're ignorant or you're stupid. I don't see any other way around it. If you're part of the far right, and you like listening to Fox News, and you think they have good coverage, you're either ignorant or stupid. There's no other way around it, because this stuff is demonstrably untrue, and anybody who thinks about it for a few seconds knows it's untrue. Who's gonna sit there and say, George Bush protected us when he was president? 9/11 happened on his watch, 9 months into his administration, when he was warned that there was gonna be an attack within the United States. The worst terrorist attack on American soil ever. Even if you love George Bush in every other way, you have to admit that he did not keep us safe. He did the opposite. You don't get a fucking mulligan when it comes to terrorist attacks. He kept us safe except for that one time that he didn't. I mean, that's like a fucking rapist saying, I never raped anybody except that one time I raped somebody, but other than that, I never raped anybody. Would anybody listen to that logic and say, oh, the rapist has a point? No, they'd say, you fucking did it. What are you talking about? I kept us safe, except you didn't. We know you didn't. Take your fucking feelings out of it. They're irrelevant. The facts matter. How pathetic are these guys? The one time, or one of very few times, Donald Trump says something true, then he loses them. Next week, when he comes out there and says, starts yelling at the Negro or something, they'll be right back like, what do you mean? He's not racist. There's no problem here. He just called him the Negro. Back off.